Hey guys, today I'll tell you a story that almost every lawyer knows, or at least heard of. Either at a lecture at law school, or some old-timer student should have told it. Well, you know, there's a guy like this in every department. Psst, have you heard about Clement Vallandigham? Hey, it's actually my story. Oh, damn, bro, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Come on, guys, I'll tell you over there. So, meet Clement Vallandigham. Clement was born on July 29, 1820, in New Lisbon, Ohio, the son of his father, a lawyer, and his namesake Clement Vallandigham, and of course his wife, Rebecca Laird Vallandigham. Since his father was a Presbyterian minister, he raised his young son at home. And in 1837, his father having taught him well, Vallandigham enrolls as a freshman at Washington and Jefferson College in Pennsylvania. A year later, he decides to earn a little extra money and gets a job as a teacher in one of the private schools in the state of Maryland. And 2 years later, in 1940, he returned to the College of Washington and Jefferson, but as an undergraduate. However, he didn't manage to get a diploma. After his argument with the director in 1842, he was expelled, and they refused to give him a degree. But fortunately, Clement was very good friends with Edwin McMaster Stanton, future Secretary of War to President Lincoln. It was Stanton who lent Clement $500 for a law course and helped him start his own law practice in Dayton, Ohio. But eventually, Clement got kinda bored working as a lawyer, or he was just good for nothing. And in 1845, he became interested in politics and was first elected to the Ohio State Legislature from the Democratic Party, while working as an editor for one of the local newspapers, Dayton Empire. He also tried several times to get into the U.S. Congress, but alas, lost the election. And as I said, Vallandigham and Stanton were close friends, at least until the Civil War. And although both Vallandigham and Stanton were Democrats, they still held opposite views on slavery. Stanton was in favor of its abolishment, but Vallandigham was against it, so their paths diverged. And when he once again spoke out against President Lincoln, "You have no right to abolish slavery in all of America. Give this choice to each state individually. And yes, by the way, I'm against the war, assholes." But since the commander of the Ohio Military District, General Ambrose Burnside, signed Order No. 38, which forbade any actions against the government in the country, Clement was naturally arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison. But Vallandigham's supporters protested so violently that he was released and exiled to a South-controlled territory. From here, he fled to Canada and tried to make a political career there, but he freaking failed again. He then returned to Ohio and tried for the Senate and the House of Representatives. And what do you think? Still no luck. Then Vallandigham said screw it and decided to finally give up politics and resumed his law practice. In 1870, on Christmas Eve, a certain Thomas Myers was sitting in a bar with his friends and playing cards. And suddenly 5 guys burst into the room and for no reason started a fight. Myers was naturally scared and tried to pull the gun out of his pocket when suddenly there was a muffled shot. Ignoring the sound, Thomas pulled out his gun and pulled the trigger several times. Bang, 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 and then he fell dead. At the time, no one really understood what had happened, but when they started investigating, it turned out that among the attackers was Myers's sworn enemy, Thomas McGahan. None of the witnesses could really say whether McGahan was armed at the time or not, but everyone knew for sure that he hated Myers, and that was enough to make the police arrest him without hesitation. So when Vallandigham learned that the local bandit and bully Thomas McGahan has been charged with murder, he was happy to take up the case. "If I can win this case, it will be the most successful case in my entire practice." And he decided to do everything he could to convince the judge that McGahan was innocent. "So, Mr. Vallandigham, do you have anything to say?" "Yes, Your Honor. Witnesses who saw Myers die said that the sound of the gunshot was muffled, so I'm assuming that the weapon had a silencer." "What? It'll only be invented 23 years from now." Can we postpone the hearing of this case?" "The hearing is postponed." So that same evening, Vallandigham took his own gun, took a piece of heavy cloth in his pocket, and went out into the country. He wanted to hear the difference between the sound of a shot at point-blank range and the sound of an ordinary shot. He conducted this experiment alone, so no one really knows what he was actually doing there or what conclusions he came to, but he returned to the hotel very enthusiastic. He put down his gun, which still had 3 rounds left in it, and started opening the package he had found at the door. It turned out to be Myers's gun, which was handed over to the court for an investigative experiment. Clement put it next to his own gun. Later, during the hearing, Vallandigham gave it another try to explain to the judges that his client was not guilty. Anyway, McGahan didn't kill Myers. Myers killed himself when he wanted to kill McGahan, thinking that McGahan wanted to kill him, Myers. What? What is this nonsense? And then it hit Clement. If they don't believe you can accidentally shoot yourself by pulling a gun out of your pocket, then maybe I should show them how it works. And he grabbed the gun he'd brought with him into the courtroom, which he thought was Myers's gun, and made it look as if he was taking it out of his jeans. Suddenly there was the same dull sound that was heard at the bar the other night, and it turned out that it wasn't the gun with blanks inside for the hearing, but the one that still had 3 rounds left. As a result, the judge was very impressed with the credibility of the experiment, so he acquitted McGahan and he was released on the same day. But Vallandigham, having won his most successful trial, died the next day of peritonitis, suffering 12 hours of excruciating pain and losing a lot of blood. At the end, he confessed, "I always believed in the Presbyterian doctrine of predestination." The next day, the local newspaper ran the headline, "Unlucky lawyer proved his theory's validity and it cost him his life." And in the evening paper of the same day, there was a story of a luckless citizen who had shot himself in the stomach and died while telling a friend how the lawyer Vallandigham had accidentally killed himself. Well, because his friend didn't believe that one can accidentally pull the trigger while pulling the gun out of the pocket, and he decided to make a demonstration. Lesson to be learned. It has been said that never show anything on yourself. If Vallandigham knew this proverb, he would have demonstrated this experiment not on himself, but, well, let's say on his assistant or someone else. Then he would have won the case and stayed alive. Well, the assistant would have died, but that's another story. So that was me, Brock from Broccoli Academy, and thank you for watching. Well guys, thank you all so much for your support. Who watches my videos, who likes, dislikes, who subscribes to the channel, who shares this video with friends, and of course, who writes something in the comments. You are all beautiful, but those who don't do it, I despise you.